Good morning, good evening, good night, folks. This is your Football Scout 365 host and analyst, Woody Massey, and I'm here for a special edition of Football Scout 365 where we are doing the Rookie Roundup, and we are evaluating the 2023 NFL Draft quarterback class, and we compare them to what we thought before the draft on the Football Scout 365 draft board and how they've progressed thus far. Now we're going into week 6 of the season. We actually have the week 6 games rolling on next to us while we record this. So we're seeing a live update. C.J. Stroud is the first person we'll be covering today, and he has continued his ascent into being one of the best rookie prospects we've seen in a very long time. Brandon, I know before the draft, there were some questions about C.J. Stroud. I wasn't very high on C.J. Stroud. I will own that. You know, we can go back and look at our after further review tape. And I've always had a policy that's treated me very well prediction-wise, where I don't think Ohio State quarterbacks will live up to the hype. And, you know, I've been undefeated thus far. So nice. it's gone really well. Nice. And I'm willing to take this L, but I am wrong. C.J. Stroud is the most talented arm I think I've ever seen as a rookie entering into the league since Andrew Luck. When it comes to straight placement, and the way he can throw the ball, it's absolutely unbelievable. But Brandon, before we dive into it, what are we evaluating today? But we're going to take a look at what we saw in college and compare it to how he's improved today. Break it down for the listeners.
Yeah, really all we're doing is we're going to take a look at how C.J. Stroud looked in college. We're going to talk about his pre-draft evaluation. Then we're going to basically talk about what he's done so far. I know CJ, he's pretty hyped about discussing this, and welcome back, CJ. It's been like, I don't know how long it's been actually. It's been a long time since you've been here, but yeah, this is an exciting moment. So we're going to talk about CJ with CJ on here with us. We got a couple film clips too that we can go over his time at Ohio State, a couple throws there, a couple throws.
He's gone way up on this show.
Yeah, a couple throws with the Texans as well. So yeah, some of the production value though is going to help us ramp up to when we're actually going to go live here in the future. So
whoa, fan interaction.
Whoa.
Oh, that'll be fun.
One day.
I'm going to have to start wearing tank tops. I got the gold chain.
Yeah. Nice. We'll all be wearing
that. He's a dog. He's a dog. I'm just going to work him on McAfee, dude.
There you go.
Yeah. So Brandon, pre-draft, you had Bryce Young, number 1 overall on your draft board for good reason. The guy was absolutely disgusting. And then you had C.J. Stroud second, which you loved. And C.J. actually went out on limb. He said he thought C.J. Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in the class too. He was all about that. And then Anthony Richardson third and Will Levis fourth. All right, Brandon. So to remind our listeners, if you want, you can go check our previous after further review. We broke down, spent a lot of time on C.J. Stroud. We'll probably have the link pop up right here while we're talking about it, I imagine. But remind our listeners what we went over in his pre-draft evaluation. What were the concerns? Where was he sitting after this Georgia championship game and that monster performance? And what we thought pre-draft with C.J. Stroud.
All right, so obviously the things that we discussed pre-draft regarding C.J. Stroud, his time at Ohio State, everybody already understands the accuracy, the ball placement, the decision-making. Dude took care of the football. The arm strength was always there. The big question with C.J. Stroud leading up to the 2023 NFL draft was his ability to process, obviously getting through progressions on the field, and the ability for teams like such as Michigan, for example, in his 2 games against Michigan, his ability to get past that first read to the second read to the third read. If number 1 is taken away, how quick can he get to number 2? How quick can he get to number 3 when teams are able to take those things away? And then something that's not listed here, the mobility factor came into play, which he actually crushed the mobility factor a few times during the season. Not in every scenario that people wanted to see him do when he was at Ohio State, but he was able to do that in certain games, such as Notre Dame. If you go back to the Notre Dame game last year, he was able to, get out on the edge of the defense and make some fantastic throws on the move. And then we had seen it at the end of the season against Georgia, it was more by design. A lot of times, him half field rolls and things like that, getting out there and making throws. So the mobility's there. And then in the clutch, he made the huge run against Georgia, if everybody remembers that. And we've seen it with the Texans so far this year, his ability to take the free yards or the free access to yards when it's given to him. So those are some of the things that we wanted to see him improve on. Now, as far as the processing is concerned, he's showing it. We've seen it today in today's game, with C.J. Stroud, and we're seeing a steady progression of him getting better and better with his on-field decisions. And it's really just snap decisions, quicker throws, getting the ball out. That was really the big differential between him and Bryce Young in terms of, other than body type, would have been the quicker throws, getting the ball out faster and on time.
All right, well, let's also talk about who we saw in CJ Stroud before the season started. So my guy that I said in our after further review session, I actually think is kind of playing out. He looks, he's so tall in the pocket and he stands so tall. The guy I said pre-draft was Carson Palmer, 6'5", too tall in the pocket. He just reminded me a lot of that, and being able to have that slight mobility, the big long strides when he runs, being able to roll out in like a more West Coast system if you want to switch it up outside of being a pocket passer. But since he's coming to the NFL, the development and the touch that I've seen him being able to put it into the zone and drop it in between zone coverage, especially like against cover twos on those outside throws in between the corners and safeties, placing the ball where only his wide receiver can touch it, not at risk for an interception. He just threw his first interception today in week 6, his rookie quarterback. Absolutely unheard of. I see a lot of Phillip Rivers in the way he throws the ball in the pocket. His placement in between zone coverage is absolutely elite. And I don't use that in a light way. It is an elite ball that he throws and is able to place. And guys that remind me of that you can just sit tall in the pocket, that'd be Dan Marino, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Carson Palmer. Big, tall dudes that can just pick it apart. And that's great company to have, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
I think what impresses me the most with Stroud is just his and even going back to Ohio State, because he played a lot of football, and we've kind of learned that is one of the prerequisites to being a successful quarterback at the next level. It's not the end all be all, but if you've played a lot of quarterback snaps at the college level, that's going to prepare you for the NFL, which is just common logic, right? It just makes sense. But his ability to layer throws, he has just such a good feel in the pocket. He has an understanding and a feel of what type of throw he needs to make, right? And I don't think you can. I think that can be learned, but I do think certain quarterbacks, certain guys have that just naturally, and he does. And he doesn't have the greatest arm, but by all means, he has arm talent. Like he has supreme arm talent. He may not. It may not look like Mahomes or Allen, when you're throwing the bomb down the field or doing something incredible. But just as far as, he can angle his arm to make different throws. He's smooth. He has good footwork. And then, like just like Brandon said, the game against Georgia, when he showed us that he could use his legs, I think that was big. Michigan showed us something as well. Michigan, we saw that, okay, if you confuse CJ Stroud, that, okay,
I think it helped
him. Curve there. Exactly. Because we found that problem, and you could go ahead and attack that head on. And then when you parlay that with having a head coach like DeMeco Ryans, we always give so much credit to these offensive coordinators and these former quarterbacks, right, for this development, which that, they deserve it. But when you have a guy like DeMeco Ryans who can show you as a rookie quarterback, okay, when the defense does this is what you should expect. When the linebacker does this, when the safety is leveraged here, when the corner's peeking this way, you know what I'm saying? And if Stroud coming into the league, that was his weakness, was because when he knows what the defense is, he has no issues whatsoever. So, and then, another guy I want to point out in his development is the offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick. He was a former offensive assistant under Cal Shanahan in San Fran. So D'Amico Ryans was in San Francisco as well. So that connection makes sense. But I just want guys to understand, like, he's been in the midst of developing and training quarterbacks, because during his time in San Francisco, he coached Brock Purdy, he coached C.J. Beathard, Trey Lance, Nick Mullins. And I'm not saying all those guys, because necessarily all those guys are good, but that quarterback room was a revolving door with the injuries and stuff, right? So when you're getting different guys in there and you have to prepare different guys week in and week out that are young, I think there's a lot of power in that. And I think he's done a phenomenal job getting CJ Stroud ready week in and week out. And that's why he's been balling.
Well, one thing we also got to give credit to is CJ Stroud in this situation of, I was telling Brandon this earlier, many interviews that I read when CJ got drafted was when he came into the locker room, he came in very forcefully. He came in with a confidence of, I am the pillar of this franchise. I am a franchise quarterback. He came in and he said, this is my locker room. And people fell in line accordingly. He's been having players over to his house constantly for team meals. He went in. You got to live the life to be, you know what I mean? You got to live the life you want. And he wants to be the franchise quarterback of this team. And he walked in, he owned it, and we're seeing the same results on the field. And that's what more can you ask for?
What about Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford in that kind of
I saw that in the notes, Brandon. I love the Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow's spot on, because Joe Burrow's another guy who,
he's not doing anything. Yeah,
better arm than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, well, I think Joe Burrow. I don't know. I think Joe Burrow has arm talent, and he can make all the throws that he needs to make. Sure. Right?
I mean, ball velocity.
But he can fit that football into the windows that you see Stroud ultimately doing. So it's very
and the feel in the pocket, ability to escape out of the pocket, smoothness, this calmness in their game. I see a lot of Joe Burrow there.
Brandon, before we go into the film review, I know you wanted to pull some early film of him at Ohio State, and then you wanted to show us some film today in the NFL. I think CJ pulled some film as well for us to look at of things that he's brought to the table. Okay, so why don't we get that rolling? Show us what we're looking at.
We talked about just a minute ago the ball placement, his ability to fit the football into tight windows. This is one of my favorite throws during the evaluation period. This is from the 2021 college football season against Indiana here. And you're going to see the whole shot in between defenders. Down the middle of the field here to Jackson Smith and Jigba, just perfect, just drops it right in the hole there. I mean, you can't do it better than that, honestly. No. And this is one of my favorite, just in between the defenders like that. You see him do this a ton at the college level, man. And he does that not just down the middle of the field. It's impressive down the middle of the field. You'll get the replay here. It's just the way he just drops it in there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I mean,
I think my exact quote when we watch this on After Further Review is like, I'd like to see him do this against guys that aren't going to be working for Hertz Rent-A-Car after they graduate.
Yeah. I mean, whether they work for Hertz Rent-A-Car after they graduate or not, they were in the right spot positionally because that was supposed to be a difficult throw. You're supposed to overthrow, maybe even underthrow that. And he put it right on the spot. Like, I feel like he's the kind of dude you just put like a pin on the goalpost and you just knock it off, from a distance. So that's just the kind of dude he is. Now here's the one in the Rose Bowl game. This is a slot fade. This is where it needs to be.
Wasn't bad coverage at all. Yeah.
CJ, here's I believe this might be the video CJ did send me to talk about here, and this is very similar. The ball.
Give me a more talented
of Stroud coming out, because when you play at Ohio State, you're gonna always have 4 and 5 star receivers you're throwing to. The skill position rooms are going to be loaded with talent. So is it okay? Is Stroud, is he good because of talent around him, or is he elevating the guys around him? Right. And now that he's in Houston, he's definitely elevating the guys around him. He's a heck of a player, right?
That's a hell of a point.
Phenomenal. Nico Collins, great athlete. But he's turning Nico Collins into a WR1. You know what I'm saying?
He's turning him into the dude we thought he could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that was my biggest question about him coming in. I said, I want to see what he can do with, because I think literally all the Ohio State wide receivers in that wide receiver room were better than the guys that were currently on the Texans roster,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
talent wise.
Yeah.
So I was just
100%.
like,
100%.
I want to see what he's going to do against NFL corners with lesser talent at wide receiver. And boy, I was wrong. Because look at Ohio State this year. They
Hey,
got all the
look.
talent in the world, and it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, McCord's not, obviously, he's nowhere near the stratosphere
I think
yet.
we thought with Justin Fields, and we've seen him struggle throwing the ball in the NFL. We thought it was a system thing.
And I think people do misconstrue the idea of what Ohio State's offense is. Sure, it's an air raid style attack, but it is a pro style offense first and foremost. They don't do the tempo stuff that you see other spread offenses do in college football. Ryan Day is a true. These are pro style concepts that they're throwing out there.
What is the floor and what is the ceiling of Mr. C.J. Stroud here in the NFL? If you
what
want,
do you mean? Like all pro?
I think C.J. Stroud ends up being a top 5 quarterback in this league by next year.
He's top 10 right now.
CJ, I know I set the bar high here. Bring me back to earth. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think he has the talent to be that type of player. Obviously, in the NFL, I mean, it's a lot of variables that go into winning Super Bowls and becoming or reaching your full potential as a player. But I think he definitely has the talent to lead a franchise to the promised land and win a Super Bowl for sure. Whether he does that remains to be seen. But he's legit.
Guys, that's our take on CJ Stroud. We've done a lot of pre-draft evaluation on him, and we wanted to catch you up to speed with the historic start to his career he's had now. We want to know what you think in the comments. Do you think CJ Stroud is destined for Canton, or do you think CJ Stroud is going to be another what did Steve Smith say the other
Jag?
day? And just another Jag. I feel like I can't say that, but
Just a guy.
Yeah, just a guy.
Jerry Judy.
All right. For Brandon, CJ, myself, Nate Nasty Parker, we are Football Scout 365.